to Wednesday night and some more miniature painting. Um, my camera has gone a little off here. Let's just drag down so you can see what goes on. Now, my plan for today was originally to paint this mini that I just printed quite recently. Hey Emily, thanks for stopping by. My plan was actually, this is a Dimra that you may have seen somewhere on Obsidian Portal, Emily. I decided to get the STL from Hero Forge, even though I haven't actually played with this character yet. And then when I wanted to print it, I wanted to just scale it up quite a bit to see how it goes and just also have something a little larger to print on. However, when I came home from work today and actually sat down to clean up the miniature from all the supports, I had completely underestimated how long time that would take. So I'm not done cleaning her, which means that I can't prime her, and therefore I cannot paint her today. You can see here on the side of her chest, I'll just try to point at it here, for instance. That's a remnant from the supports. That was actually a bit loose, but there are small bits and pieces here and there still stuck to the model, and I just need to go through it with some files, hobby knives, what have you. It's especially in here, behind the cat. There's a lot of small things left over that are not really going well. So I need to clean all of that up. I probably need to give a good rinse once that is done. So yeah, it looks really good. I mean, I think, scaling it up 200% on each side probably means that she's a little bit blurry, because I think the way it scales is a little bit like scaling pixels, which is not always a good idea. But you can see what is what. I mean, I can see her beard, I can see where her pants are, we can see the cat, we can see her muscles, her tank top, her backpack. Yeah, it actually looked like I chipped off a part of it there. That's fine. That can be hidden. You can see the belt, the belt buckle. She's got a small potion bottle down there. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is sort of, but it's mainly just to see how the printer would handle printing a large model. So, in comparison, the guy I painted a little bit the last time and will be painting again today, he is basically half side. Oh, Corpse Throat, thank you for the resub. I really appreciate that, my friend. So yeah. So as I said, I will not be painting the large dwarf, if that makes sense. I need to clean her up a little bit more. So instead I'll just continue doing shades and highlights on this other model, mostly just to finish it. So we'll put her over here, using the lurk in the background. So, Corpse, what are you up to? Doing anything? Winning any game matches in Rocket League lately? Yes, where were we with this dude here? We are going to need shading. And for shading him, I think I will mostly go... I think I'll actually try, since he's pretty... thank you for the lurk, Emily. I think he's pretty light in the colors. I'll actually try to go for some colored inks here to see how that goes. To see, I mean, I've got these ones here, the blue and the green. It's going to be the larger part of it. And for the ruffles up here, I'm going to go for... What do we have? We have... Yeah, I'm going to go for the flesh wash. It's a little sort of red in the tone. Could be good. Oh, Corpse, you got Vermintide. You're addicted to it. That's what you're addicted to. I totally get that. I think I'll be finishing up here at around 8:30. So if you're around and not... No, wait, are you playing Rocket League tonight? Can't remember. But if not, we should totally do... totally go to the old world. Anyway, on the shade. Shading. Actually, I completely forgot to bring up my water. I will be right back when I find some glasses and some water for rinsing my brushes. I've got drinking water, but I'm not gonna clean my brushes in the water I'm gonna drink. So I need to hydrate my brushes as well. See you in 1 minute. So we're back. Now with water and glasses for rinsing our brushes. Now that actually happened because I took my brushes, or sort of my glasses, downstairs. Oh yeah, cool. Oh, pizza time. Enjoy it, Corpse. Nah, I actually brought my the glasses I used for rinsing my brushes from down to the kitchen yesterday, I think, to clean them properly, and then I just completely forgot to bring them back up. Also, need a little bit of focus there. Need to quickly clean this brush a little bit. I also need to take a day soon where I actually sort of clean my brushes all the way down. So yeah. So anyway, I will actually also be needing... I'm gonna go for... Well, we're gonna go for the... Yeah, I think we're not gonna go as aggressive on the boots as I sometimes do. I sometimes give, you know, the brown boots. Sometimes actually give them a fully black wash or ink or whatever your brand of washes are called. So Corpse asks, what kind of deep philosophical discussion we're gonna have tonight? Well, how about democracy aboard pirate ships? Yeah, I'm watching this, I think, new Netflix series. It's a bias. Oh, magnificent beard, thank you. You're awesome as well. So yeah, no, now I'm watching this series on Netflix about pirates. Ah, that brought Emily out of the lurk. No, and it's always struck me as weird because people go on about this. No, the pirates being having the democracy and the crews could vote and all that. I'm pretty sure that it has to be true because I mean too many scientists agree on it for it to be completely false. So that's not the issue. But I'm still, let's draw this into the whole kind of how do you enforce democracy? I mean, what if someone doesn't want to adhere to democracy and just try to do a coup? So there has got to be some kind of power to back it up. So I don't know. I don't know much about it. It's just the first thing that popped into my mind when Corpse asked what kind of philosophical topic we should discuss tonight. So there is that. Or we could talk about, what do I want to talk about? Maybe the concept of, I don't know, being nice to people. Yeah, it's not a tough thing to do on a boat, you know. Yeah, I mean, you would, if effectively to get around the, let's call it the pirate democracy aboard a ship, you would have to do what is effectively a mutiny. But mutinies did happen, you know, in the Navy and the Merchant Navy. So I guess it could have happened, but I don't know. I mean, I like the idea about, you know, the freedom, and I kind of get the background for the pirates not really wanting to you know, be as strict and basically as horrible rulers as the people they used to be ruled by in the British Navy. I'm not really sure. Also just got into the part in the series where they do a shift after they start going for the British slave ships. I mean, that was a truly gruesome period in the world history. I can definitely imagine, you know, coming from, you know, seeing that and going, yeah, let's actually fight that directly, and then the way we rule things, let's do it in a different way from how these people are doing it. But that's also sort of my what's it called, inner skepticist that goes, how much of this is just a romanticized way of remembering you know, the highway robbers of the sea? I mean, were they really like this Robin Hood legend? They're just, sure, they would attack a ship and that would mean something, but then they would just take the gold and then leave without doing any harm, and they would get along amongst themselves to at least some degree. They would, everyone could vote. They could vote off the captain if they didn't like him and could get support. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think it must have been there to some degree, because too many scientists agree on it for it to be completely false. But I'm guessing it's the kind of thing where as long as things go well, it's pretty easy to enforce because everyone's happy, satisfied and happy. Whereas if you don't get enough money, if you don't get the cash flow, that's when people start getting what's it called, pressed or stressed, or have financial worries, and then it's a little more difficult to adhere to your principles. Hedonistic democracy? Well, they were definitely hedonists. They do like to party. But then again, I think that's been true about most people throughout most of history, that they like to party. So yeah. And I'm actually not entirely sure this guy could really, he's got a little bit of a pirate to him, maybe except for the cape. But yeah, Corpse, exactly. As long as everyone's happy, you don't you don't really care about who's in charge. I mean, it could be this guy, it could be that guy. Doesn't matter. I get my food, I get my money, I get my toys. And then when things go wrong, you mutiny, or maybe they really just did have a vote and did sort of I guess kind of a non-violent mutiny, which wouldn't be a mutiny, but just yeah, you're not good for us anymore. We want someone else. Now imagine if companies were run like that today. And there we have a topic for discussion. Companies today are run by CEOs who have their management, who have their middle management, and so on, and so on, and so on. What if the management was voted on by the employees? Do you think that the employees would be gullible enough to vote? Well, I kind of sort of messed that up by using the word gullible, but let's stick to it because that's what I think it would be. Would they be gullible enough to just vote for whoever promised them the most pay or the shortest hours? Well, shortest days. I mean, the hours are still the hours. The fewest hour per week or whatever. Or would they actually, at least after a while, swing back and go, wait, we have to be competitive. We have to do a product. We have to have management that knows about these things. So I don't know. So to close society, one was against, will probably just downvoted, let off at the next shoreline. That's true. I mean, when you do the vote, you would really need to be sure about the outcome. Plus, I'm not really a big fan for everyone voting on every single small matter. That would, especially in modern days, be way too complex for anyone to really grasp. I mean, if I had to vote for all the things that our parliament votes for, I would at least feel obliged to look into these matters and get a sort of working knowledge on what it's about, and then I wouldn't have time for anything else really. I mean, there's even lots of people in parliament who doesn't have time to look through all the things they're voting on. So they vote and follow the party line, the party vote on that. So what Kåre says about voting inside companies, voting for management, that he doubts that companies are way too complex when it comes to details. Yeah, I think you're right about that. And it's a sort of a fine balance in a company to figure out what is the right thing to do. I mean, and also with the vote, should there be a vote on who gets hired all over the place? Inobody, welcome. Glad to see you. Wouldn't you be considered that not the right but the famous people would get the votes? Exactly, and I think that would be the main concern, basically in all voting systems, or it should be, that people don't vote for their ideals, or they don't vote for, any sort of solid argument, but just voting for whatever is popular. And that's the risk of that would be that whoever are in the election would mainly just say what people want to hear to get the majority. If you risk getting the kind of people who are don't really have this strict ideal and way they want to run company, country, whatever, organization, stick to that, but they wanted to be in power. So they would run it in whatever way they could as long as they're in power. And that, I think, would be really, really bad, no matter if it's a country or if it's a company or an organization of any kind, even a pirate ship. So that brings us back to, by now, I guess, an old Swedish metal band, a music metal band called Clawfinger. Show of hands, who knows Clawfinger? Oh, and Innovodi has some points. Where I work, we basically have senior engineers or team leads actually hiring the people for their team. I think that's a great way instead of just going through the CV. Exactly. So that's kind of it's not fair to call it an oligarchy, but that's basically what we have where I work as well. Except that we actually do have a really good. I have a really good boss. I hate to say I have the best boss I've ever had, because that's, you know, comparing different people, that's always hard. But he's definitely one of the best bosses I've ever had. And one of the things he does when he's hiring people, what he does is he of course filters them out and finds someone he would actually believe would be a good match and have the skills and all those things. But then we also have a talk with some of the people the person is gonna be working with. That could be me, that could be some of my co-workers, simply to see what are our impressions. And we have actually had to test that at some point, without going into details, where we said no. Employees saying, well, we know you like him, we know he's got all the qualifications and he seems really intelligent and talented, but there are just some things where we don't think it would be a good match for us as employees. And that person didn't get hired based on that. So that is not fully a democracy, but a little bit in that direction, where we at least have some kind of say in important situations. And I think that actually sort of signifies an interesting switch in management styles. Wow, this is getting really shiny. I hope this coat here gets a little less shiny once it dries up. Otherwise, it's gonna be the most dashingly clad person in wherever he is from and whatever he's doing. No, but the idea of employees being able to veto hires, I actually saw that at some point in it was an article. I think it was a guy called Dave Newcombs, I can't remember, who's been doing some successful startup companies, and he talks about the hiring process and talks about how he always insisted on the people on the team approving of all new hires. And even if it was just someone who had been there for just a few weeks or whatever, it could be a junior programmer. He was in the tech business, so it was usually programmers or graphic designers, or even a junior profile would have just as much say in this as someone who had been there for years. So what he also describes in that process was that he saw some of these young, often very unsecure people really rise to the challenge and actually take it seriously. So when they realized that if they said no, that guy would not be hired, then they actually took it upon themselves to actually give an honest feedback, because they didn't want anyone to not get hired just because of whatever. But at the same time, he trusted them enough to not require them to give a reason. They could just say no. And that gave them a lot of confidence in the sense that they felt acknowledged as significant members of the team. And that was an interesting read. So a lot of chat going on. I need to get to that. I think that's when would Diffian show up somewhere. So I just need to finish the blue and then I'll catch up to chat. So, but anyway, the article there, I think it was pretty interesting to read that and actually see that this is something people do. Of course, in the tech industry, if you have a good idea and you hire really talented people, I'm just going to correct myself immediately, because just because you hire talented people doesn't mean they're going to be decent about, the hiring process and their evaluation of others. That does not necessarily go hand in hand. What a very blue coat he's now got. So no, but it's still an interesting thing to see or read about. Successful managers writing how their thoughts on empowering a team, and giving that kind of veto power or influence on, for instance, the hiring process, and then seeing people not abusing it, but actually going, oh, this is now my responsibility. So yeah. So I'm just gonna read up on chat and have a little drink. Oh, thanks, Modifian. Thanks for showing up. Gmail didn't show well. Oh, and Emily, you wish you had veto power. Yeah. And I've, at some point in my career over the last 20 minutes, I have a 20-minute career. That was my 15 minutes of fame. No, the last 25 years. I have actually been in a situation where me and a coworker did not get along well. And that led to a lot of problems internally in the team and between him and me. And the sad part was we liked each other as persons, on the personal level, but we couldn't work together. And that, unfortunately, I was the first one hired of the two of us, and that doesn't really matter. But since what matters is that both me and one of my other colleagues had actually said that he shouldn't be hired because we didn't want him. There were some things about the way he would be doing his work that we didn't feel like. And then our boss overruled us, hired him, and for the next year and a half, me and him were constantly in conflict, and both he and I were really close to just resigning. We had sick days, all that kind of thing. I had a part to do in that, he had a part to do in that, and our boss had by far the largest part in that, for various reasons. And we'll not get into those here. But again, I have tried being in a situation where people don't fit into a team for whatever reason. It doesn't make them or me or you or whatever bad people. It's just a bad match, and it just costs way too much on the people involved in this. So yeah, veto right. If you can see that someone shouldn't be hired, you should have a veto right, because we actually lost one of our senior developers due to this direct consequence. So maybe it was worth it, maybe it wasn't. I don't know, but on a personal level, kind of bad. So I'm gonna continue all of this. Modifian asks if you missed the dwarf lady. You didn't really miss it because I didn't finish cleaning it up, so I'll not be painting it. And you get points for chatting. You get more points for chatting. Yes, yeah, everyone. Modifian. The more people get to chat, the more people will be chatting. Whatever, showing activity helps a lot, and his goat is amazing. Doesn't have a goat. Are you hiding a goat from me? Because I want to know if you're hiding a goat. Is it? Oh, it's up his sleeve. Yeah, I know it's goat. Just kidding. Mr. Jamie and Adam hate working together despite liking each other. Yeah. Oh my. Capitals and nasty words. Good thing I love you so much, Modifian. Otherwise, I would... probably wouldn't be insulted anyway. God, yes. Having people who are methodical, working with freewheeling people might create interesting opportunities, but also adds a shit ton of stress. Exactly. Yeah, you missed the goat, Emily. We all missed the goat, apparently. So, no, but Modifian, just to show you the dwarf. This is how she turned out. She's a little overexposed. Wait, Bias, are you saying there was a goat on my desk and I missed it? Oh well. That's what happens. Well, then it's not 7 years of good luck, but it's 7 years of good luck to you, Sir Bias. I definitely think you deserve that. You're a good guy, you're a cool guy, so 7 years of luck for you. Anywho, I didn't clean up all the bits and pieces. Overexposed is just that the way the light is in this room means that you can't really see the details because the camera up here on the right side of her face overexposes her. So yeah, it's a bit too light. I can maybe do a little bit about that. I can also maybe make you seasick. So, but yeah, this small kitten, and I'm actually considering just gently cutting off the kitten so I can paint it separately and so it doesn't get in the way of painting her. But I will definitely be painting her soon. And yes, she will get a large, huge pink beard, as well as a pink mohawk. Because that is the color scheme I really want to use for her when I play in Dungeons and Dragons in the campaign where I'm going to be using her. So yeah, she's getting pink. So, but anyway, this is the dwarf, the oversized dwarf that I'll be painting at some point. I printed it on my new 3D printer, which I today have had for exactly a week. So yeah. So anyway, back to this guy. That's... Oh yeah, of course, last time was really fun. You chose... Was that when you chose purple? Yeah, I think it was. Well, but if you're in 10 points, you're gonna get that within a few minutes. 10 points is nothing. So yeah. So what else have people been up to lately? Let us know all about it, and we will cry with you, laugh with you, whatever needs to be done. Oh yeah, turquoise. That's right. Where did I get the purple from? Oh, that was when I painted up Perdita from Malifaux. I put purple in her hair, just, you know, a little bit of purple at the edges. That worked out quite nice. Oh, sorry, as highlights on her hair, just to not make it black, shade highlighted up to white. I wanted to give it just a little bit of color. It turned out pretty nice. Didn't help her when the last time I was playing games though. But yeah, it is what it is. So the ruffles are done, and I need to figure out what to do with the red and the pink. I want to call pink purple. I want to call my brushes pencils, and I want to use all the wrong words. So, but still needs a little bit more down here. I need to figure out what to do with the red, because normally I would actually use black wash on it. Guess I could do that, but I have a feeling that it's actually a little bit too risky doing it on such a large, fairly flat area. But hey, we're here to learn. So let's learn, and let us try to find, where is it? It's up here. The good old-fashioned null oil. Test orc. Yeah, I mean, we can do test orc, but test orc doesn't have any sort of large flat areas. We can do a little bit down here, but I'm pretty sure I know how that's gonna work out, which is fairly well. Just gonna drop down. I'm gonna completely oversaturate this with black, so we can sort of see the advanced effects. But what it's also going to do is that it's going to give a bit of a dirty look to it. But I guess we can fix that in, yeah, when we highlight it. just highlight it a little bit more aggressively than normal. So it's gonna be a little bit shiny on the test orc here. Yeah, it's probably a little bit too shiny. I mean, it works quite well, but it does give this black shine to all of it. However, yeah, our puppy swordsman isn't dirty, and that's a little bit what I'm afraid of. So what I really want to do is to maybe mix my own. Let's try that. Let us try mixing our own. We're gonna go in and go for a darker red. A little bit of sort of purplish brown darkness to it. Just gonna shake up the bottle. I haven't used that one in a while. It's basically going down in this for the recesses. And I can either try to mix it up as you would mix up a wash, which could work. I actually think for that I'm gonna use, not gonna use the wet palette because it's, I'm gonna use the wet palette. I mean, I'm going completely out of my comfort zone here because I'm gonna do something I've never tried before and add it here. So prepare to embrace the madness and see how bad it goes. So add a little water. We add a little thinner medium. Just, here we go, thinner medium. For just, suspends the pigments, making a really thin mix over here. To clean up, as you can hear, this medium, when it dries up, as you can see in the top here, it gets really sort of thick and gooey and sticky. Just fortunately not sticky enough that we can't just wipe it. But we have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and let us get that a good stir. See where it lands. I mean, this is a learning experience and a learning opportunity. And this is sort of dark, but not really. I'm not going to show it because the last time I've shown the wet palette on screen. I'll do it anyway. It's a little difficult. It's the one I've mixed down there. I'm not entirely sure it's going to work well. Oh, it's definitely getting thin enough. Need to get it thinner. The reason I want to get it really thin is to not get too much of a shine to it when I do put it on. But it also thins down the pigments, well, not the pigment, but the entire mix. So it kind of gets sort of a whitish shine to it. So I think what I need to do is add. Hey, we're playing around. Let's play around. No, don't worry about it, Cops. It's cool. I appreciate you taking time away from the very serious endeavor of making pizza. And Tom Posh, thank you for the reshop and welcome to the stream. We're doing strange things, mixing up specially colored and tinted inks. I'm probably making it way too dark now. Yeah, way too dark. I tried putting in some black, and then I put in way too much black. So now it's just sort of grayish, not even red. So that didn't go well. Hey, Modifian. Hey, Modifian. What? Guess what, Modifian? What? Don't tell me you decided to grow a beard. You wanna challenge me? A battle of beards? No? You... Oh, crap, you got that one. Okay, I'm gonna try to mix up this the red one here first. so I can apply it, and then while it dries, I will get you the twin braids. But that's gonna take a while, so... Oh, you got that one. Okay, sorry to everyone else who wanted to see me paint. But if you decided that you're gonna see me fail at braiding my beard in 2 braids. So for this, I still need... it's missing a little bit of something, which could be this. Just gonna make it slightly darker with a little bit of, very little bit of brown. Also has sort of a red in that. Works a little bit better. Now we just need to water it down further. But if what are you finding? You're finding all the weird stuff today. So a little bit this, a little bit that, and we need. Where is the other one? It's there. If this one hasn't clogged up all the way, this is probably the missing ingredient, some matte medium. Because the matte medium is actually what you would use if you wanted to try and make something similar to the contrast paint. If you want to see a good video at some point about how to mix, not, you know, of course the exact same as the Citadel contrast paints, because they have the secret formula, but something that works in the same way. You should take a look at Goobertown Hobby. Goobertown Hobbies on YouTube. Brent from there has some really cool videos where he just plays around, and he does exactly. It's from him I have the inspiration to do what I'm doing now, of just experimenting with things and just try it out, see what happens. Okay, so this actually has the consistency of paint. So that is not good enough for making an ink. And I'm also drowning in paint over here on the wet palette because I cannot, you know, contain myself. I start out with way too much paint, and then I thin it down, and then I get way too much, and it gets a huge blob that is impossible to control, and it's beginning to slide all over the place, including into some of the other colors, which is just me being stupid. Anywho, we will go with this. We'll see where we go. I mean, at least it's now a lot sort of wetter and runnier, so we can begin applying it. And see if it will fall down into the recesses, maybe shade it down a bit. And then we can later on highlight it up into its proper red color. Now on the inside here again, I'm just gonna do a real quick sort of half-assed job of painting it, because no one's gonna look on the inside. I'm not painting for competitions, I'm painting for tabletop ready miniatures. So they should look good at a distance. Now, it's still shiny, but it does fall into the recesses and does give a slight sort of shading there. Let's do it like this. Let's do the hat as well. And I think most of it anyway is going to come from the highlighting of the red back up into a brighter red. And Bob said you should always hydrate, but you shouldn't hydrate so much that you actually drop droplets of water onto your miniature. That is just a little bit too excessive. So yeah. So with that in place, I think it's time to just leave him to dry. I don't know how visible it is at the moment, but it does shade it down a little bit. And just adding that little bit of shade in the background or in the recesses, yeah, it should be good. So anyway, Modifian wanted twin braids, you're gonna get the twin braids. And also, I am really looking forward to when things hopefully soon start opening up again, so I can actually visit my barber. It's getting a little long and a little crackly, whatever. So, Cobbs just wrote a joke, the start of a joke in chat, and he prefaces it with, "I just heard the worst joke ever. What is the difference between a poorly dressed man on a bicycle and a proper dressed man on a tricycle?" Oh, it's one of those kind of jokes that I'm absolutely terrible at. Attire, of course. That's not a bad joke, that's actually a good joke. Yeah, that's the kind of joke that's gonna make Modifian groan and say it was terrible. But, you know, anything that makes Modifian say it was terrible automatically gets plus points with me. So anyway, I think I've got it kind of in the middle. Few loose strands. And I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing here, people. I'm not even sure there's enough on each side, but Modifian wants, Modifian gets. Okay, and also I should not look at the camera feed because it is not mirrored and it is kind of sort of messing with me a little bit. But anyway, see if we can split this into 3 parts here. I'm sorry, this is not going well. This kind of reminds me of the scene in Boondock Saints where Rocco is delivering a sandwich and is told to tell, I think Papa Joe is called, a mafia boss, a joke. So this guy is, you know, low level mob guy, going up to hand over a sandwich to the big mob boss of Boston, blah blah blah, and he's told to tell a joke. He starts. He begins telling a joke, and the joke is not good. So after a while, simply from the pressure of being with his mob boss, he just stops because I'm not funny today. It's a bad joke and stuff like that. And then the mob guy here, and I'm imagining you, Modifian, doing this to me right now, just puts down the sandwich, just gently wipes off his fingers, knits his fingers in front of him, and goes, "Continue the joke." I think I'm also messing up the braid here. And yes, Modifian, I am struggling for your amusement. Now, the next time I visit you, I think I'm gonna get you to actually braid my beard. So, that being done, I actually think I'm gonna get into a little bit of a problem because the hairbands I have are maybe a bit too large for this. Nah, I think it works. So we are in the middle of Modifian redeeming for the very first time on this channel a twin beard. That is the twin braid. That is the first braid. Put flowers in it. No, I'm terribly sorry, Modifian. I do not have a reward for that. And I do not intend to have a reward for that. Not because there's anything with putting flowers in your beard. That is entirely up to you. But I don't want it. And that is entirely up to me. So, the other half here. I mean, see, this is what happens. That is a strand of beard right there. Yeah, you did the first braid. That is true. Oh, when you come visit, putting flowers in it. Well, I can say no to you, but I have a feeling that you might get a certain someone starting with an E involved in the process, and then I might be in a very, very difficult spot. But of course, then again, if you do get your daughter to ask, that means she's actually talking to me, which would be a first, I think. She's very shy. Okay, I'm kind of glad I decided to take as many points for this as I did, because this is yeah, yes, Modifian, I suffer for you. Casting it, that might be an idea. So yeah, let's go for this. And let's see if we... Now, the braids are not going to look nice next to each other because they're going to be very different. And I'm also messing up the... whatever locks of hair, whatever they're called, so... Glitter beard, motor beard, yeah. Indians in the beard is the new black. Ah, Modifian, the things I do for you. Practice makes perfect. It does, doesn't it? But anyway... Well, actually, by the time you get enough points to do this again, I might actually have found time to practice in front of a mirror, so I can be a little better. But anyway, there you go. Twin beards, are you happy? That actually looks... twin braids. That actually, apart from being completely off, yeah, I mean, it's a bit off and odd and not really, done in the same way, and I can feel that it's sort of crooked in a way. But still, it's done, and it looks better than a single braid. I have to admit that. So the pom-pom tops, yeah, they just go out like that because I didn't, pull the hairbands that far down. But yeah. But the pom-pom tops are also off green now. So in the meantime, how did this turn out? I mean, it turned out pretty well. I mean, it dried up actually the way I wanted it to. You can see here in the recesses, we have some slightly darker red, with the point being it is red, it is not black. That is what I wanted to see. The boots are about ready to, still a little dry, and that means most of the other things are dry as well. I'm going to need to think about how to approach this. And while I do that, why don't we just spend time on his sword? PB Skjarm stockings. Yep, Emily, that is true. I am looking what dwarf is, so me and my little dwarf here, my giant dwarf here, we love our beards. So I am going to find some metallic paint, and I'm going to finish up the sword while things are drying up. Now this one here, metal and alchemy, again from Scale Color. I like those, the paints. They've got something going with the red pigment. But I also am a metalhead, so finding a bottle that's called thrash metal, that was right up my alley. So let's get some of that. Get ready for some dry brushing. Also, I more or less forgot again. Oh yeah, I forgot this one. This one here, the thrash metal, is actually kind of dirty looking. It has sort of a greenish, brownish shine to it that I actually don't want on this guy's sword because he's not dirty. So yeah, no worries, Corpse. Just happy to have you here. Just dump in as many emojis as you can, and great to hear you're a metalhead. Let me know what your favorite band is, or favorite bands, or genres, subgenres. And I will find. I have a silver here. Okay, this is weird. I can't just sort of do my normal thing with the beard when it's braided. I'm gonna get used to that at some point. Also, my silver here is incredibly thin. So guessing it's because it's separated a little bit in the bottle. So what happens is it's separate, and then the medium is in the top. And when you pour it out, you get too much medium and too little actual painted pigments. I can see that. You can't though. Where I'm painting here. This one over here, that was the first one. It's really thin paint, whereas this one over here is more sort of a blob. This is what we want for the dry brushing technique. In the meantime, Corpse is taking a break from his pizza to write that it's very mood dependent what music he listens to. Metal, like black metal when I'm sad, Rings of Saturn when I want to feel pumped up, Cannibal Corpse when I want to remember good old days, etc. Yeah, mood and nostalgia many times has so much to do with it, and also sort of when you first started listening to a certain band or whatever, you get the memories from that. It's a little bit like one of the reasons Sepultura, however you want to pronounce it, Brazilian metal band from back in the 80s, 90s. One of the reasons they'll always have sort of a special place in my heart is that back in the early 90s, there was we didn't have many TV channels in Denmark when I was a kid, so we watched a lot of Swedish television as well. And the Swedish television had this music program in the afternoon where you could call in and vote for your video, and they take whatever was on the, I don't know, top 10 or whatever, how they choose it. Yeah, not actually the roots the story is about. It was when they, Sepultura had just released Chaos AD, that album. And somehow it made it to the list in this primarily pop music show. And then what all the metalheads in southern Sweden and Denmark did was they actually called in enough that Sepultura's Territory video was #1 in this show for many weeks in a row, and that meant that they had to play it in the full length, and the hosts just hated that because they did not like metal. It was so obvious and it was so fun. And again, it's not that I like berating people or laughing at other people, but in this case, it's kind of like, yeah, you're a presenter on a TV show and you have to play music you don't like. That sort of, that is fun to me. Plus, it allowed us to actually watch some really good. I really liked the song. Still listen to it often. And it was just so fun. I mean, total troll, and this was back in the early 90s, like 93 or 90, 92 or 93. So yeah, the troll was real. So anyway, a silvery shiny sword, and oh, someone wrote something else. But even wrote that her dad listened to Black Sabbath doing your paper routes in the morning. Hearing it always brings back the smell of cold morning air and newspaper toner and the rumble of his giant Bronco truck. I can understand that. Those are, I hope they're good memories, but it's definitely tied in with Black Sabbath. I get that. Which reminds me that I actually saw Ozzy a few years ago on Copenhagen. And seriously, let the poor guy go on retirement, please. It's almost painful watching him stumble around on stage. I mean, he enjoyed it. That was obvious, but it just didn't look right. I mean, it was just, yeah, I don't know how to say. Yeah, I remember seeing Slayer live some years ago as well, and they played the Snuggle song. Yeah. Wait, you went there and didn't tell me? So we were at the same concert, and Helena was there, and I could have hung out with her on Copenhagen. Modifian, you owe me big time for that. I'm gonna hold you to this at some point. And then I'm gonna, as punishment, I'm gonna steal away Helena and go to see a concert with her without you. I'm gonna enjoy it, have fun, drink a lot of mead. And yeah, so more stuff for now. I'm gonna do shiny stuff here. So Sabaton, definitely. I don't know if Therion is still active, but I actually sent her some links to it, and she seemed to really like it. And I would love to see those live as well. And I would love to go to a concert with her. That would be fucking awesome. So, next up here in Swashbuckler Land, we're gonna put some shininess on his sword while we wait for all the inks to dry out. And I put my hand down in paint, which is sort of mandatory. I did a thin wash of the sword last time. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna plug in, shit, my hands are shaking, some gold, but not dry brushing it. I'm actually gonna try to properly paint this on the, I don't know, it's called the crossbar or the hand guard. What is that piece on a sword called? Where are all the weapons experts? A crossguard. So, Corpse right. First band I truly enjoyed live was without a doubt Nile. Good choice. Or good first band, whatever. Not because stage performance was pretty much just I am evil, look at me. Yeah, that's kind of classic. The music was so on point that it every song perfect. The drums was epic. Oh, that sounds cool. Reminds me, Corpse, have you ever seen or watched videos with or listened to Batushka? Which is a Polish. I don't even want to call it doom or black metal, or I don't really know what it is, but it's pretty much like a black mass, sort of Catholic inspired black mass kind of thing they've got going on, and they've got some of the heaviest on point music as well. That is really rapping. Kind of actually almost scary to watch, to be honest. Yeah, check them out. I saw them as a warm-up a year and a half ago to King Diamond, of all people, and he is in the other direction. That's sort of the old 80s style, more sort of heavy metal, and they've got this really sinister, really dark band warming up to him. I mean, they've got the whole dark side that King Diamond also has, but at the same time, it struck me as being very interesting mix. I mean, it worked well. I like both bands, but still interesting mix. So, yeah, okay, so I made a little bit of a mistake here and there, but overall it's good. I mean, the shininess on the sword added the gold to get some color in on the crossguard. So yeah. And I am thinking that it will be equally well to do it here. I'll see your list in a little bit, Corpse. Just need to... you know, you need to paint when the paint is wet. Now, speaking of music, we are, of course, as always, listening to the wonderful Adrian von Ziegler, who makes some absolutely wonderful and enjoyable atmospheric music, ambient music, instrumental music. I like to use it for role-playing games. I like to use it as background when I'm streaming. I really like the fact that it is instrumental. There are no vocals at any point. At least not the songs I use, or tunes I use. I guess they're not songs without vocals. There may be on the others, I'm not sure, but I don't think so in general. And he's just really, really talented, really good. He's got a lot of experience, and he allows people to use it on streams like this for free. It's all in the comments on his YouTube videos and his channel. Go check him out, Adrian von Ziegler. Give him a subscribe, give him a like, buy his music, support him in whatever way you can. People like that are rare, because he's both good and he likes sharing things with other people. So Corpse's list. Musically, mine was the best live show, Immortal, audience, Cannibal Corpse, and Suffocation. Cool. Immortal, I've seen Immortal, I think, at some point. No, sorry, I mixed them up with someone else. I've seen Behemoth. It's also weird because they were warm-up to Slipknot about a year ago here in Copenhagen. And I always see Slipknot more as sort of a really, really sort of hard-hitting band, yes, but also more sort of a generally popular metal. I don't want to call it pop music, but I guess I just did, because a lot of let's call normal people, whatever that means, listen to it. So it's not just metalheads or hardcore metalheads, whereas Behemoth is one of the old, I think that's black metal bands, which the general public usually aren't too happy with. So it's a bit of an interesting mix crossover there. So let's just get the pommel here turned into gold as well. And I think the handle is gonna go white for that, sort of silvery for that as well, simply because it should be sturdy metal. So Corpse said the stage presence of Abath from Immortal is so fun. It does so many faces and it's such a goofy black metal artist. Yeah, they are. That's a fun thing about some of the really mean looking black metal, fully painted faces and all that. They've got so much humor, and it is just a laugh. It's serious and singing at first, and it's just a massive goof. Then you got the best experience overall, and I mean every part of it was great. Devin Townsend, nothing has beaten that man so far, and I have been to massive festivals and concerts. Devin just wipes the floor with them. I've never listened much to Devin Townsend for all the wrong reasons. Generally speaking, I've always listened to fairly hard-hitting metal, like the black metal, doom metal, death metal, back in the good old days when death metal was the band Death. And somehow Devin Townsend, as much as I know that he's an insanely talented musician and all that, just never really hit home with me. But lately I've have to accept or realize or acknowledge that my musical taste is changing a lot. So I should definitely give him a go and see if it's just, I don't know, age making me a little bit more mellow. But yeah, and that's my experience. Now, the thing about my musical taste changing is that several years ago, a lot of people insisted that since I listened to metal, I should listen to Danzig. I was also one of the elderly blokes in that scene, and I really tried, but I could only like a few of his songs. The rest were just sort of not hard enough. It wasn't aggressive, wasn't brutal enough, and all that. But this past week, I've heard almost nothing but Danzig, because I just randomly came across it on one of my playlists where I had one of his songs that liked Am I Demon. It's not really that hard or aggressive, but it just has this, I like it. And I just figured, well, why not just put on the entire album? And then I listened to it on repeat a few times during work and just enjoyed it immensely. And I figured, well, apparently my musical tastes have changed. So there's still some of his newer albums I wasn't that happy with, but the other one, the old ones, really like them. They've got kind of a good metallic swing to it. Metallic easy listening, if you will. So yeah. Anyway, our daring swashbuckler got a little bit of bling on his sword. True cult. I'm sure that's a reference to something that I completely don't get because I'm an old fart. Thanks, Corpse. What else? It didn't hit me until I listened to Devin Townsend Project. His vocal talent is undeniable. I will give that a listen, Corpse. Thank you for the suggestion. And I also think that I should really be getting on with this little dude. So, yeah, it's been good. I actually need to clean up. Made a bit of a mess on his face. I need to fix before I can wash it. Okay, this. That's odd. Oh. Oh shit, was that one of the colors I actually mixed last time? Is that why I can't seem to find the right color? Yeah, probably. That's not really... that doesn't make me happy. How do we do this? We just mix it up again. So yeah. That is the one thing I really don't like about mixing colors, is that when you have to remix them, I am not good at the whole write down what you use for space, how many drops of this and how many drops of that, and you know, all those things. But anyway, it seems like it was this color and some white, and I pretty much copied the, at least close enough that it's gonna be good. Now we're just gonna do it down a little bit. Put it down a lot then, and fix up. So there we go. It's just when I put on the black, oh sorry, the blue ink here, it accidentally hit his face. So just gonna quickly touch it up. You can see here under his chin, he's got this blue spot. There we go. And I fix it up pretty nicely. There's a little bit more up here. And some of the red from the hat shading also drop down. Yeah, a little bit more and we'll be good to go. And in the meantime, Corpse writes that to a cult is just a way to say that you were too hard to listen to anything else but the hardest metal there is. Okay. Or if you're a super metal, a black metal fan. Yeah, I don't really know if I would say that about me. I just sort of go with whatever I feel like. Again, like with you, it really is mood based. Sometimes I'm in the mood for something quiet and relaxing. I listen to some of the slow stuff or some sludge metal. I should do a plug for a Danish band called Bethmora. I will type that if I can find my keyboard. Give them a go. I actually have one of their hoodies on at the moment. Very sort of swirly logo they have. Cool. The lead singer is one of my good friends from high school, so it's a little personal to me as well. And it was really great seeing them live back in 19, about a year and a half ago. It was a really great concert in a small place in Copenhagen where it got really close to the musicians, and my friend, was doing the vocals up front. Literally, it was just like 10 centimeters the stage they were on. There was no guard, there were no guards, there was no rails, nothing, because we were like 50 people or so in the room. So, and people went nuts. Cool, Emily. See you. Enjoy your work day. Hope you have a good one. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for the lurk. I appreciate it. Damn it. See here, you can see it. Well, up here, the hair that I wanted to leave sort of black with a little bit of white to highlight it. All the red ink from the hat has now finally sort of halfway dragged or sort of sifted, whatever, drifted down into the hair, meaning that I need to redo the hair at some point, but that's not going to be now because I want to do some shading on his face. I actually want to give him some really visible shading in the face. So I'm gonna go drop down into a strong tone, I think from Army Painter, because it's not as red as the flesh tone, and it's not as black as the dark tone, but with his the base color here on his face being almost sort of ashen gray, I figured this color would be cool for that. And it's not really flowing as well as I wanted to, but there are ways to fix that. This getting there is just getting in a little bit in the wrong places, so I think maybe different. What do you think? Why are you saying oof? Was that the red in the hair? Yeah. Oh, in other news, painting related, at work, we have an initiative to kind of get us going through the Corona stuff where we don't see each other that much, but also just in general getting, making it a better place to work and making it a better sort of we're all in this together kind of atmosphere. So they've introduced what they call the social calendar, which is really cool because they've all raised the management throughout the more than 5 years that I've been there, always been supportive of, well, if it is Modifian, try reloading. That sometimes helps. But they've always been supportive of, you know, board game nights or playing video games together or doing basically whatever, doing Friday bars and all that. But now they've actually stepped it up a little bit. They have a new HR director who is really good as well. And so we have the social calendar where they encourage us to do stuff. And I just went my usual, here's a bunch of stuff. I don't really care. We can do, you know, game development. I've done that. I've done that in the past. We can do miniature painting. We can do blah, blah, blah. Online board game nights. I'm doing that already. So I'm just going to continue doing that. You know, stuff like that. And she just went, oh, that sounds cool. And we talked a little bit about it. And the long story short is that sometimes, probably not until after Easter, we're gonna attempt to do an online teaching session with miniature painting. Well, Modifian, in that case, I'm gonna tell you to reload the stream, and I'm not gonna say anything relevant until you're back on. I'm just gonna spout nonsense, which is of course what I normally do anyway. So if you X up when you reload, then I know, and then I will say blah 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 stuff-ish things. And when your Modifian is back on, then we can go back to our regular scheduled program. Because we really want to wait for Modifian. She's been a great help and support. And of course I'm saying a lot of good things about her when she's not watching the stream, because she's lagging a little bit behind. That is my way of teasing her, is things she won't know. Also, it's things she already knows. She knows how much I care about her. She's a really good friend. And you won't know what, so I take it you're back, and I take it you're lagging a little bit less, because you just got your OMFG what? So, mission accomplished. I just suckered you right into that one. Yeah, this is going well. I am actually getting some proper highlights done here. Again, as I've said many times, back in the 90s when I learned to paint miniatures, we didn't sort of do the layered highlighting, or at least I didn't. No, but I just told everyone how much I appreciate your support and how much of a good friend you are, and yeah, that was it. So yeah, I was very rude. I complimented you when you were not here. That's how rude I am. Well, that's what you get for having a laggy stream. So, now what I like about doing the highlights the proper way is that it doesn't get the grainy look that you get from dry brushing. That's actually something that held me back from trying to do highlights for a long time, because in my mind I had this, oh, highlights have to be dry brushed on. That's the only way you can really hit the ridges and all that, which doesn't make sense looking back on it, but that was how I thought, so that is what I did. But it will always get this grainy look, especially if you had larger sort of flat or open areas. Oh, and you're saving up for the twin beards again. Okay, I'm just gonna up the costs. Just gonna find out how many points you have, and then every time you get close, I'm just gonna add, you know, a few thousand points to it. Go in real life. That's cool. See you around, Corpse. Been fun as always. Don't be a stranger. I will try to catch some of your streams. It's so fun watching you play Rocket League. And enjoyable. I always kind of go, oh damn, how did he do that? I wish I could do that. I'm not good at Rocket League, in case anyone's wondering. Of course, I haven't really played it much more than a few hours, so I barely know the basics. But even so, You're not trash. I've seen some of the save you've done and some of the goals you've made, of course. That is that takes some skill. So don't put yourself down. Anyway, have fun out in the real life. Oh yeah, some of the pros that, but that's just insane, and that goes for any game. Don't compare yourself to the pros. That's silly. So yeah, no, but the thing we're doing for work is basically just gonna be a paint a miniature using just a basic paint set. So I'm really curious to see how that actually turns out. And I know it's possible because I did that just before Christmas with some of the other Danish streamers that I haven't really spoken to since, for I don't know why. We just took one of the Army Painter starter kits where you get 9 paints or whatever, and you get a paintbrush and get a quick shade, and there you go. You just try painting up a single model to see how is it, how are the color combinations. I mean, is it a good selection of colors? Can you actually use them to get any meaningful out of a miniature? Do you need to buy more brushes? Do you need a better whatever? And we did give ourselves the advantage of using one other brush than the one that came with the paint set, simply because we all have our favorite brush. And I chose to actually take the one I'm using here, which is a 000 from Winsor Newton. And I took that one because that way I can always do some details on the models. Whereas if I have a too large brush, filling in the details or just doing focused highlighting, it's really difficult with a large brush unless you have the perfect tip on it. And mine doesn't. I'm a little rough on my brushes, so I didn't trust them to be well enough, so I just used a small one. So yeah, and that went well. I just painted up a Warhammer Underworlds model and had great fun with it. And it worked. I mean, the 9 colors were so red, yellow, green, blue, some skin tone, brown, I think 2 different browns, light, or sort of medium brown and dark brown, and white and black, and then you had the shade, and that was actually enough to get a good paint job on a model. So they actually chose some good colors, especially having a good yellow. You can do a lot of stuff with that. Only thing is that the green was a sort of somewhere between pale and dirty green. I think it's called goblin green or something like that. So not as bright as his colors are here, so his pants are here, but in that order. And it's kind of difficult toning it down if you want to do like a dark green elven cloak or whatever. It's a little difficult getting it down just with the black and the browns. It gets too muddied and not clear enough green. But that being said, you can still do a lot of good stuff with it. So I'm basically just going to try to do that and teach some of my coworkers to paint. I mean, I tried teaching them game development, I tried teaching them 3D graphics, some microcontroller Arduino stuff at some point as well. Yeah. Just the usual. That's just me being silly. I think it's fun. It's fun learning new things. It's fun pushing yourself. It's fun to see what actually happens once in a while in different areas of work than your own. I mean, I'm a software developer, so most of the people who were watching some of my, for instance, the game development streams were other software developers, but we're doing business software for the retail business. We're doing POS, point of sale systems, so cash registers essentially, and the back end systems for that. And that's quite different from game development for most things, at least. But a lot of the techniques we use are the same. I mean, a lot of game development these days are online, so that means we have microservices of some kinds, you have APIs, you have web services, you have databases with proper data structures and all that. I mean, we do that as well. Different data, but still the same sort of core principles. So it's just interesting to try and show off a little bit of that. And again, I'm not currently a game developer. That was a long time ago. So I don't have all the up-to-date knowledge about what happens, especially on the graphics side. That was never my strong suit. But I can show people how easy it is to make a game and remove some of the mystery about it and remove a lot of the sort of the magic black voodoo stuff. And that makes people interested, and that makes people realize that maybe they can do this as well. I think that's cool. I mean, that is how you teach people that things are possible, just like painting. Show people, put a brush into someone's hand and let them paint a little bit on a model. Yeah, it's probably gonna go completely haywire the first many times, but the second they've done it just a little bit, then they know what's possible. And maybe that will get them interested enough that they'll try it again some other time. Or they'll go, after the session, they'll just go, hey, wait, we tried this. I mean, that was really fun. I'm gonna do this again on my own. Just pull out the paint, add more paint to the miniature. I think that's gonna be fun. At the very least, we're gonna have a very fun evening in good company. So that is also important. So I think a little bit of blue is probably all we need. That got very bright for some reason. I need a little bit more blue in this. But I'm thinking after the blue, it's time to put aside the brushes for today and relax a little bit. This week I'm fully in the office all 5 days, not because I really want to be there. I mean, it's nice to see some of my colleagues again, but we're having some plumbing done in the building I'm living in. That means that they turn off all the water from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon. And I don't know about you, but I don't really enjoy being without a working toilet for 8 hours per day. Also, I mean, drinkable water is not a problem. I just put those in bottles in the morning. That's fine. But it's just so much easier to be in a place where there's water. So what I'm doing here is, to begin with, not really an actual sort of highlight. It's mainly just emphasizing the line or the outline on his coat. There's sort of a raised area that I wanted to make brighter, because it is going to seem a little bit like a highlight, but without really being it. I don't mess it up too much. And I can always highlight the inner parts of the coat later on. This is just to put a little bit of emphasis on the features of the model. And if I'm lucky, I can even do this without messing up too much. I would not do this if I just had to paint it, because my hands are shaking so much that I can't really draw a straight line. But since there's a raised area, I can mostly just drag my brush sort of sideways over it. And then the paint will actually fall where it should. That is not considered cheating. That is me taking full advantage of the model. I'm also going to do his color in the same way and a few other things. So that's almost done. So just gonna do the color, and then I'll see if we can find someone to raid while we are still here. I can see here the color up here, I specifically don't draw out the way all to the edge. I want to keep the illusion of shade in place, so I'm gonna try and hit the raised part. And if you really look closely, that's gonna look weird because it's the raised part down here is probably the one that's folded the other way up next to his chin. But if you look at this, just adding those simple bright lines really helps. Now I'm actually going to lighten up this a little bit again, so you can see what goes on here. So again, if you look at the bright blue here, how much it actually gives, especially up around his neck, gives, so all of a sudden just those small areas of bright blue gives a lot of detail, not detail, a lot of contrast in the model. Just doing that. I might be tempted to just leave it at this. I want to fix up, the buttons and the areas around the buttons. But the code has a little bit of play to it in the way the ink falls. I might do up his sort of puffed out sleeves with the, yeah, let's do that. With the bright blue here. I think that might look cool. And at some point I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with the pink fire. Now see here, I'm not actually painting all of it bright blue. I'm just leaving some of the recessed areas in the dark blue to try and, again, keep the illusion of shadows in place. And this one up here we can do. And this is the kind of sort of selective highlighting I never learned when I was a kid. And doing it kind of freaks me out. Because it's not just a technique. Like dry brushing is a technique you apply. Also, why do I get small droplets at the tip of my brush now? That's a little annoying. But this kind of this goes here. This bright color goes over here completely, where not where the brush and the texture of the model tells it to go, like with dry brushing. But this is me controlling it 100%, going, this should be bright blue. And I've never painted. Generally say that I can't paint a straight line to save my life. That may or may not be true, but I can't paint anything that resembles something to save my life. That is definitely true. I tried learning it a few times, and I just don't really have... I'm not going to say I don't have the talent for it. I'm not going to say I don't have the knack for it. Just probably don't really have the drive to do it. I don't know if it's just because I'm a little, jaded and have decided that I'm never going to learn it anyway, so why try? That might be part of the reason. But for some reason I just start working a little bit on it and then I lose interest, also because I feel that what I'm doing is so ugly that it doesn't make sense to continue much. Which is, of course, rationally, I know that's bollocks, but I just have so many other things I want to do with my time, and sticking around trying to learn something that I feel like I'm terrible at. And I don't see any... I did spend, an hour or so per day for 2 weeks at some point trying to learn some drawing techniques. and I didn't see any actual improvement, which kind of made me go, yeah, what's the point? So I lost the momentum, and that is of course a little sad, but it is what it is. Just a quick fixer up here. Some of the bright one in. So yeah, a little bit of bright blue to offset the color on his let's call it the color and the color of his coat, and the different lines, the puffed out sleeves, stuff like that. For some reason a lot of the blue ink have either disappeared, or maybe I have just not done a good job here. So let's just make sure it's at least almost the color it should be, and yeah, almost messed up the red. Anyway, I think we will leave him there. Spend way too much time talking as usual, way too little time actually painting, but that is also one of the reasons I have these I call these sessions here. So before we go, let's just do a quick shout out to, of course, the Incorrigible Party. If you like D&D and you want a really good D&D podcast about people where they record their sessions and do some after parties so you can hear the insights of what people were thinking when they did what and stuff like that, go check them out. They've got a podcast. They have more than 100 episodes and about 40 or so after parties, so it's pretty close to 200 episodes in total. And also, let's give a shout out to Seawolf Art. She's painted this. I got the sticker. I also have one of her prints. She has some really, really great streams where she just sits around. Let's do a shout out. She does some really, really cool stuff. She sits and does movie studies where she takes a scene from typically Lord of the Rings, and then she draws it, and you just see it's to me it's mesmerizing how she can do that. That is brilliant. For now, I just want to say thank you for joining, and if you stick around, I will try to find someone to raid, assuming that Twitch wanna do what they should do. There we go. It is a little... Now I have the problem that whenever I try to actually go to the Twitch site to find out who's online and actually be able to listen in on their channel when I join, it just takes forever to load the main site. And that being said, it is pretty simple. We don't have anyone I actually know online, so no raid today. Instead, I'll just say thank you for showing up. Thank you for joining. I've enjoyed your company. Have a great night.